So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology, and welcome to the iPhone 15 Pro Max. I literally forgot to take the case off because it's so thin I forgot it was on, and the Galaxy S24 Ultra. So we're going to talk about my 3 months later with both of these beasts right here, these titanium monsters. They have been such an amazing experience, but I really want to dive deep and tell you which one was more my personal phone. What did I like more? Just going to give you all the details you need here in this video. So let's begin with one of the most important areas of the phone, which was better in the battery department. The Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra has a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, and it was a better performer than the iPhone by about 30 minutes to an hour, provided I had the brightness a little bit lower. The iPhone still seems to have a little bit better standby time to me, but it's not that noticeable anymore. And there seems to be a little bit more battery savings you can do in this phone with the power saving modes and stuff like that. So I feel like I could dive a little bit deeper into the way I can do battery saving options. Over here, we do have ourselves a low power mode, and you can change some of the charging optimization settings. But overall, and by the way, True Tone's on if you're wondering why does your screen look yellow. Let's go ahead and turn that off. The Samsung definitely had the better battery life, but not by a lot. They're very close here. And either way you go here, you're going to have a really good experience. But if you want to eke out just a little bit more, this 5,000 milliamp versus this 4422 on the iPhone was just better for the Samsung. So 3 months later, when it comes to the camera department, now, first of all, I do like the look of these Samsungs. It's more straight down. I think it just looks better. But overall, both of them are really nice, large lenses here, which actually produced the better results. So let me go ahead and bring in my Cybertruck over here. I'm going to tell you right away that the iPhone seems to have the better, hold on, let me bring that in right there. The iPhone seems to have the better simplicity. So let's go ahead and open this up. I really like the macro mode on here versus like a base iPhone. It's really solid. And then the iPhone seems to have more of the decent, easy video performance. Like, you don't have to like do a lot to get really good video quality. I feel like I'm going to use the Pro mode more, which I have done in my prior Samsung shot YouTube videos. I'm going to turn that brightness up a little bit. It's too dim. 4K 60. And we have the ultra wide. Going between the lens is super smooth. We have a 5 times optical zoom now on the iPhone, which is great, and 15 times max on the video. Now for the camera, you can go 25 digital, but once you get into the digital crop, it doesn't look that good. Portrait, panoramic, you know the drill. It's pretty simple. We also have cinematic video. Flipping over to the front, still a pretty solid front-facing camera, although it's basically the same as even the base model iPhone, so it's not really standing out too much. Overall, this phone has been fantastic. It's an iPhone. What do you expect from the camera? It's going to be good. So let's go over here to the Samsung now, and let me talk about a few features here. The Samsung seems to shoot sharper photos. So every time I take a photo, I feel like it has this like sharp, super sharp looking effect to it. It's just, some people would say it's over sharpened. It looks incredibly tack sharp. I like how you have much more zoom, all the way up to 100 times, so way more zoom. The 10x is not optical anymore, but with the AI and the processing, combining with the 5 times, and you don't really notice a difference. You really don't. 12 megapixels, 50 megapixels, and 200 megapixels. So if you're noticing something just looking at the camera setup, the versatility has been insane. 3 months later, I have so much more fun using the Samsung camera. It's just more fun to use. Dual recording modes, food modes, video. So if I was like somebody who really wanted to dive deep into my camera and I can only get one and I want to have all the features possible, I'm not buying an actual camera, I would get the Samsung because I have so many options like a pro camera. If I was looking to just take photos simply and, maybe, hold on, let me get the iPhone open here. Maybe I was just, not in the mood to like learn everything and all that and make it really simple, but still have crazy good results. I'm going with the iPhone every day of the week. Also, some of the raw photos are a little bit better, I think, on the iPhone, the edit, post processing. But overall, both of these cameras really do shine mostly in every area. The front-facing camera I like much more on the Samsung. I feel like it's does better with the skin tones in terms of like not like showing every little pimple on my face, every little mole, whatever I got going on my face. It's a little more pleasing aesthetic to me. But that's not going to be for everybody. Some people like the warmer look that the iPhone does provide. But the Samsung does have a sharper front-facing camera, that's for sure. Just the Samsung here is the more versatile setup. That's just all there is to it. 3 months later, I'm grabbing it if I want more zoom. I'm grabbing it if I want all the feature set on one phone. But the iPhone is just a solid, sturdy, reliable camera that you're just not going to be disappointed with. So when it comes to the build quality, both of these things feel like absolute tanks. I don't like how Samsung basically copied Apple's titanium though. Like I feel like, yeah, they have a slightly different color, but just doesn't feel very original. Like Apple comes out with titanium and then you come out with titanium. We know where you took inspiration from. And I know these manufacturers go back and forth, but at the same time, it seems like it lacks a little originality with that area, although they both copy each other. So I'm sure, Apple's going to probably go to an Ultra line or a bigger phone to match the Ultra. So they both copy each other, but it's just do your own thing. Sometimes that's how I feel. But other than that, the Samsung ergonomically doesn't feel as good. The corner here definitely hits the palm of my hand. It feels like a really big phone to wield around. However, I really like the flat screen, super ultra thin bezels, love that. And it's not a bad hold. It feels pretty good, but it's the squared feel. I just can't get over this feel of the iPhone in the hand. It just feels so much better. Like for ergonomic, everyday practicality, it just rolls into the hand. It just has a better feel to me for everyday holding it. But neither are bad. Both of them are very good. It's just the iPhone is the more comfortable ergonomic phone, I would say, in the feel department. Sturdiness wise though, they both feel like they can take a beating, definitely. Like they could take some drops, probably even without a case. But the screens, I would still protect them, which I have done with screen protectors. I do like how the Samsung and the iPhone both don't get smudges or fingerprints now. With these titanium builds and these matte textured rear glass backs, they don't get fingerprints whatsoever. Maybe a little bit, but just like oils on your hand get on there, these phones just look clean all the time. It's really a great experience. Now, if you had OCD, you're going to love these phones. They're definitely really good in this department. But I just feel like when I'm looking at both of these, the Samsung just looks like it towers a little bit over the iPhone or 15 Pro Max, which makes it feel like it is the king of smartphones. Because if that's the best that Apple can do, this being bigger, bolder, and has titanium as well, it just feels like it's the top dog. It just really does. So let's talk about performance. I think the iPhone still is slightly more consistent with its animations and performance. I feel like it always looks really smooth. However, it doesn't mean it's like the fastest feeling phone. I feel like the Samsung still feels a little faster when running along the software, but visually speaking, I prefer the iPhone. I feel like the animations just look buttery smooth across the board all the time, no matter what you're doing. But the Samsung has gotten so good in this area as well. The animations are, I feel like before I said that they were a couple updates away, they're basically there now. I think that they're only like now one day update away from maybe one major or two major updates away from like flawless, smooth as well. It's already like super fast and reliable. I do think Samsung's going to get it even better. They've been really going to town here and I'm very impressed. This is nothing like the Samsung of the past. Samsung of the past, I was always craving going back on my iPhone because there was just some choppiness to the software. I never feel that now. And if you look closely, if you're watching how I'm scrolling through these applications, how I'm popping in between things, you're probably noticing just how snappy it just moves along this software. It just feels quick. So if you like a snappy, quick feel, but also retains smoothness, I do think you'll really like the Galaxy S24 Ultra. It's fast, smooth at the same time, and takes advantage of its software really well. So the iPhone still has its smooth crown, but Samsung has snappy and smooth now. In the area of software, we're not really got much to say at this point because what we're waiting for. We're all waiting for iOS 18. 17.5 is on the way, but that's not the major update. We're waiting for iOS 18 with the AI. The lack of AI here is really giving the Samsung a gap between the iPhone, putting it in the lead, as well as the Pixel 8 Pro. Let me go over here to advanced features, advanced intelligence. And I think this is going to change very quick. But for now, Samsung still retains that lead since January when this phone came out. But yeah, the Samsung still, I really prefer it as a tool because it has all these edge screens. It has split screen multitasking. It has Samsung DeX, good lock modules, customization all over the place. This phone is just simply fun to use. I don't know how else to say it. It's a fun phone to use. Let's go into Galaxy themes. You can theme out your phone, whatever season you're in of your life. You want to put a flower because you're feeling flowery. I don't even know if that's a word, flowery. But if it is, whatever, if it's not, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're feeling green, put a green theme. If you're feeling blue, if you're feeling Earth Day, go ahead and put an Earth theme. The customizations are out. You don't like how Samsung stuff looks, go to the Good Lock module in the Galaxy App Store and mess around with some of these things. You want to change the home up. Look, you can even change a task changer. Let's go into the task changer. You can put a grid here and then it'll look like this when you go through your applications. You can put a vertical list and then it'll look like that. You can go ahead and change it to a slim list. You want it in a list format? There you go. So I'm saying it's all here. It goes on and on and on. And then if you don't like all that, you think it's childish, if you think it's all not professional looking, blah, 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 you don't have to touch it. The One UI itself is pretty clean and simple itself. Just use the One UI and don't go digging deep. It still does everything that the iPhone would basically do for just everyday apps. So the Samsung software just really fun. The Apple software, smooth, consistent, reliable, and it does have a really good cohesiveness to it. Like it looks just like it matches everything with the Apple Watch, the Mac. And Samsung does a good job there as well. But when you're using a Windows Samsung laptop, you're still in Microsoft's OS and then you're in Google's OS over here. So that operating system just kind of sticks all together a little bit better to me. On the iPhone, it just kind of feels like very cohesive, like you're just using one product that is the same as the other, just different size. When you go to the iPad, the Mac, the watch, this is a very good operating system. And software updates are a little more consistent on the iPhone still, whereas even for this Vivid update, some people were saying they had it, and I was waiting a whole week to get the same update people already were showing online. So I don't like the fact that the rollout is still not consistent at the same time for everyone. I don't know if that can ever be improved based on the amount of Samsung devices and how spread out it is. But hopefully it does, because some people do get the updates faster than others, depending on your region. Months later, I do think the Samsung will make a true difference in the AI features with the 12 gigs of RAM. I do think Apple is going to really make sure the 15 Pro Max can run AI, the stuff they put on there. But I do think going forward in the future, the more advanced AI stuff, you're going to have to upgrade to a newer iPhone. And especially if you're on an older 4 gig of RAM, you're going to be in trouble with that. 6 gigs of RAM, you'll be okay, but you're going to need more going down the line. So that AI is I think it's going to actually create a new upgrade cycle for a lot of iPhone users going down the line. Even though not everybody asked for that, that feature's coming regardless if you asked for it or not, because it's just kind of what the industry is headed towards right now. So what about the S Pen Advantage for the Samsung? Has it been a really big upgrade, advantage? And I would say, nah. Samsung really didn't even talk about the S Pen this year. It's been on the phone since like the Note days, and it doesn't seem like the advantage it once was. Like you can't really like just sell this phone on the S Pen, but it is the separator for a niche crowd. There's a lot of people that they will only buy this phone because it has the S Pen. And if you're like looking at some of those cheaper Android phones that have stylus, no phone touches the stylus on the S24 Ultra. So it can be a separator, but I'm finding from my comments and, just listening to users' feedback, almost nobody really mentions the S Pen as their main thing that separates or makes their buying decision. But for some people it is, but I just don't feel like the S Pen is the main reason why everyone's going to buy the S24 Ultra. For me, it's definitely not a separator anymore. It used to be, but I'm finding that I prefer to use like a pen on a tablet because it's just a little too small to really start getting creative and drawing big things and charts and like pie graphs and just sketches. I just want a bigger canvas. So to me, it's not a separator, but for jotting down notes and kind of like scrolling through things, if your fingers are greasy or whatever, you want to click small links. If you're using everything on your phone, that S Pen is a really great tool. Another area 3 months later that I noticed is that the storage is pretty fast on both of them. So if you do want to like use the onboard storage, it's really good on both. Let me go find it here. Storage. I got more storage for the money here on the Samsung though. 512 gigs for the price of one 256 gig iPhone with the trade-in. It was an insane deal. Also, it transfers incredibly fast. The Samsung's very powerful T9 SSDs. Those things are quick, super quick, and they don't have SD card expandable, but the filing system on here is just so easy to use. I think by comparison, my file system. So if we go in here, the layout is just very simple. On the iPhone, it's not bad either. You have the file system over here. On the iPhone I would say it's a little bit more, it's not nicely laid out by comparison to the Samsung, not as easy. But if you used a Mac before, it's not going to be that much different. You could see it right there. You could still transfer things to this, and storage is very fast on here as well. They have AirDrop, but we have Quick Share as well here on Samsung, so that's not really a main difference. But I really do think the file system is not that difficult if you have used Mac and stuff like that. But the file system on here for the Samsung is, I think, more user-friendly. It's pretty easy to use. So 3 months later, which do I prefer for the biometrics? We have the in-display fingerprint sensor, and I actually think they're pretty much equal because with the iPhone, I like the convenience of Face ID, but I think it's very practical and easy to just put your finger there and on the day-to-day, just place it there and it just unlocks. So I like both. I really do. I don't think you're winning out with either. It's just kind of a matter of user preference. Face ID is pretty dope, but you sacrifice with that large dynamic island punch hole, less interruptions, and the fingerprint sensor it's pretty convenient as well. I like both. You also have a face unlock here, although not as secure, still decently secure. Not going to be your main security method. 3 months later, when it comes to the display, I've talked about the display before, but which one would I pick? And when I'm talking about sheer display, I'm picking the Samsung. It's so much sharper and it's anti-glare. I can never go back not seeing. I always see the glare now on other smartphones. It's not just the iPhone 15 Pro Max, but this anti-glare has been incredible. This is probably the best display on the market today. Some people disagree because of its lack of Samsung saturation we've seen before, but the Vivid update did bring that back to a degree. Tons of features like Eye Comfort Shield, adaptive color tones, the ability to change between Vivid and natural, extra brightness, QHD resolution. This thing is insane. Like, it has every display feature you want, and on top of that, this has the ability to go ahead and go into the landscape. So I find it to be the most versatile high-end display on a smartphone, well, at least a slab-style smartphone today. So this is definitely the winner in display, in my opinion. But the iPhone is not too far behind. Samsung is the one who made this display as well. It just feels like this is more like their Samsung Plus display, their Galaxy S24 Plus. Like, this is not their Ultra display. This is their, their standard OLED, but Apple did a really good job with the bezels. The color tuning is like near perfection. It's not like undersaturated, oversaturated. It's buttery smooth with the promotion, and it's plenty sharp across all the iPhones. And this thing gets incredibly bright as well in most respects. So either way I go, I feel like I'm using a top-notch panel on either phone. There hasn't been a massive difference in the audio department. They're both basically neck and neck. I tested with my decibels, and I was only getting about 0.2 difference on the Samsung over here. Oh, that's so dim right there. Getting about 0.2 difference on the Samsung. It was pretty darn small. Not a real big difference whatsoever. One area I did notice the Samsung was slightly better was the phone call reception in some tighter areas, like enclosed office spaces or in like a basement or garage where like there's not a lot of signal. I found the Samsung held on better than the iPhone, but in generally outdoors and stuff, it wasn't majorly different, but the 5G performance still feels a little snappier on the Samsung. So I found that to be the case. If you care a lot about those type of things, the Samsung's probably the best phone in the world, honestly. So the Samsung DeX advantage is a real thing over the iPhone. We have the display port now where you can put the USB-C into a monitor pretty easily with the iPhone, but the Samsung DeX takes it to the next level. And with some good lock modules, you can actually make the resolution native to your monitor. Even if DeX doesn't originally support that, you can use this phone as a keyboard as well, with the keyboard and a mouse pad with the touchscreen. So a monitor and a phone and USB cable. That's all you need to have a full-blown computer with the Samsung. With the iPhone, not so much. You're going to need a couple of Apple's accessories and products because they don't do that with their phone. They're probably never going to make the iPhone plug in and become an iPad. I just don't see that happening. That would be amazing, but I don't think they will do that. The Samsung still has that lead. It's a true advantage, I would say. It makes it feel like a really great business tool by comparison. Months later, though, I do find Apple's iMessage FaceTime advantage to be really huge, especially in the USA. Where I'm at, everybody I talk to has an iPhone, so this is the master communicator in the United States. In other countries, WhatsApp and some other applications, they are definitely way more popular. But here in the USA, this is the master communicator, the iPhone. So, and the branding they have cemented themselves in the minds of millions, hundreds of millions. And the psychological advantage of the branding is a real deal for, iPhone. So there's people who will literally not even turn a blink an eye at a different brand. They got that Nike effect, I feel like. So it's definitely something to say, and I always have to mention that when I'm talking about my long-term reviews here. Conclusion, this combo of phones right here has made me incredibly happy as a user of both. This has been like the best combo in the history of me reviewing phones. I have a SIM card in both of them because I got tired of switching between these top phones because both of them are so good. I didn't want to give either up. So now what I do is I've come to the conclusion. I use my Samsung as a business phone. It's more of a business tool. It feels more businessy. It feels like it has all the productivity and stuff I need to get business done. And my iPhone is my daily personal communicator. Just daily usage, stuff like that, regular stuff. It's easy. When you're about your life, you don't want to be on your phone all day. This phone is kind of boring by comparison. It's not as fun to use. You just use it and you get on with your life. Kind of, it's a little bit less distracting to me. But when I want to play around and have some fun with my technology, I'm going with this one all day, every day of the week, the Samsung. So I really like how they have those differences. But either way you go, I think you can really do fantastic. I think if I could only have one only, I think the Samsung would be my pick because I feel like there's less sacrifices to be made with the Galaxy S24 Ultra than the iPhone. That's my 3 months later between the iPhone and the Samsung. 3 months comes from the fact that the Galaxy S24 Ultra has been in my hands for exactly 3 months. So that's where the 3 months comes from. This one I've had for 7 months on the iPhone. And these phones, I don't even I look at the months and I'm like, this phone came out yesterday. That's what they feel like. They don't feel like they aged at all. I feel like this because these really did bring some new things to them. The titanium, the great cameras, they just don't feel like they age as fast as they used to. So that's another thumbs up right there. So with that being said, thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more, and I will catch you all in the next episode. Thank you very much for watching. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.